Move, Cripple. Bullies kicked a disabled girl at Santa Monica Pier, then a sea of bikers surrounded them. The wind howled across the Santa Monica Pier that late afternoon, carrying the smell of salt, popcorn, and heartbreak. The setting sun bathed everything in orange light, but even the beauty of the horizon couldn't soften the cruelty unfolding on the wooden planks. A teenage girl sat in her wheelchair near the railing, sketching the sea with trembling hands, her sketchbook fluttering in the wind. She was small, fragile, yet her eyes, clear gray, deep with quiet strength, reflected 1,000 battles fought in silence. Then came the laughter, the sharp, mocking kind that stings harder than any slap. A group of teenagers, loud and careless, surrounded her like hyenas around a wounded fawn. One of them snatched her sketchbook, another kicked the front wheel of her chair, and the tallest one spat the words that would echo in her heart forever. Move, Cripple. The girl flinched, not from pain, but from the sound, the word, heavy with hate. Her wheelchair rolled slightly backward, one of its small wheels catching on the wooden board. She froze, helpless, as the group burst into cruel laughter. If you believe that kindness can still change this world, if you believe that second chances matter, then please, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Because what happens next will restore your faith in humanity. Her name was Emily Lawson, 17 years old, born with a spinal cord injury after a car crash that killed her father when she was 4. She had grown up learning to navigate both the physical world that didn't fit her, and the emotional world that often rejected her. Her mother, working 2 jobs, did everything she could, but Emily knew loneliness like an old friend. The pier had always been her escape, her one place of peace. She would come there to draw, to imagine herself running along the sand like she used to before the accident. That day, she was drawing a motorcycle, a powerful black Harley with chrome shining in the sunset. She didn't know why she'd drawn it. Maybe because it symbolized freedom, the kind she could only dream about. When the bullies walked away laughing, leaving her sketchbook torn and her heart crushed, she stayed still, eyes fixed on the waves. Tears gathered but never fell. She had promised herself not to cry in front of people anymore. She gathered the scraps of her drawing and tucked them back into her bag. The pier, once her sanctuary, now felt hostile. She tried to roll her chair toward the exit, but her hand slipped, one wheel was bent. The chair wobbled and stopped. That's when she heard it. The low, thunderous growl of engines. At first distant, then closer, louder, deeper, like the heartbeat of something powerful approaching. A line of motorcycles emerged from the end of the pier, their headlights slicing through the orange dusk. One after another, black, red, silver machines rolled in, each ridden by a man or woman wearing leather vests with patches reading, "Guardians of the Coast." They weren't a gang. They were a community, a brotherhood of bikers who rode for charity, veterans, and the bullied. Leading them was a tall man with a salt and pepper beard and tattoos of wings down his arms. His name was Hunter. He parked his Harley right beside Emily's broken wheelchair, killed the engine, and looked down at her with kind, steady eyes. For a moment, Emily froze. No one had ever come for her before. No one had stood up for her when others mocked her. But Hunter didn't say anything. He just knelt beside her, checked the bent wheel, and fixed it with a quick, practiced motion. Then he smiled, a warm, fatherly smile that broke through her fear. Behind him, the other bikers dismounted and stood quietly, forming a wide circle around the pier. Then came the sound of laughter again, the bullies, returning, thinking they could taunt her one more time. But the laughter died on their lips when they saw what awaited them. The bikers turned their heads in unison. Dozens of eyes, cold and protective, locked on the teenagers. The tallest bully stammered something, but Hunter rose to his full height, his shadow falling across the wooden planks like an unspoken warning. The pier grew silent except for the sound of waves crashing below. Emily could barely breathe. The world had flipped. The powerless girl now surrounded by protectors, the cruel ones suddenly small. The leader of the bullies tried to laugh it off, muttering that it was just a joke, but Hunter's voice broke the silence, deep, steady, and calm. "Does it look like we're laughing?" he said, his tone carrying the kind of authority that comes from years of surviving real fights. The bullies backed away, faces pale, their arrogance dissolving. One of the biker women, her long red hair flowing under her helmet, stepped forward and picked up Emily's torn drawing from the ground. She smoothed it gently and handed it back to her, whispering, "You're stronger than they'll ever be." The bullies turned and ran, their sneakers slapping the boards, swallowed by the crowd. The bikers didn't chase them. They just watched until they were gone. Then Hunter knelt again, meeting Emily's eyes. "People like that," he said softly, "don't deserve your tears. But you deserve the world." The pier was quiet again, but something inside Emily had changed. For the first time in years, she felt seen. She felt valued. The bikers stayed with her for a while, fixing her chair properly, buying her ice cream, listening as she told them about her drawings. They discovered she loved designing motorcycles, the shapes, the details, the way each one seemed alive. Hunter asked her to show her sketches. When she hesitated, he insisted gently. Her drawings were rough, but they were full of passion. He looked through them and said, "You ever think about designing one for real?" She laughed sadly. "I can't even walk," she whispered. He smiled. "You don't need legs to create. You just need heart." The weeks that followed changed Emily's life in ways she couldn't imagine. The Guardians of the Coast invited her into their world. They visited her every weekend, taking her on rides in a special sidecar designed just for her. They called her Little Flame, because, as Hunter said, you burn bright, even when life tries to snuff you out. They helped her set up an online page for her art, and soon her designs began gaining attention. Bikers from all over the state asked her to draw custom sketches for their rides. For the first time, she wasn't invisible. She wasn't the girl in the wheelchair. She was Emily, the artist who painted freedom with her hands. But life wasn't a movie. The scars inside her still whispered sometimes, especially on quiet nights. The memory of that day on the pier haunted her, not because of the bullies, but because of how small and helpless she had felt. Hunter noticed. One evening, as they watched the sunset from the pier again, he told her, "You know, strength isn't about never being broken. It's about being broken and still choosing to rise." Those words sank deep into her heart. She drew that moment. Hunter's bike in the sunset, waves crashing behind, and her own reflection in the chrome. She titled it, Rise. Months later, a charity exhibition featured her artwork. The same pier that had once been a place of humiliation now displayed her drawings proudly on easels along the railings. Hundreds came to see. The bikers stood in the crowd, proud and loud, cheering for their Little Flame. Even her mother cried quietly, holding Emily's hand as she watched strangers admire her daughter's art. Somewhere in that crowd, the same bullies stood silently, ashamed. One of them, the tall one, approached Emily after the show. He looked nervous, guilty. He stammered an apology, saying he never meant to hurt her like that. Emily looked at him, her eyes calm, and simply said, "I forgive you." That night, when the lights of the pier glowed over the ocean, Emily wheeled herself to the edge and watched the bikers ride off into the dark, engines roaring like thunder. The sound no longer scared her, it felt like music. It felt like family. She looked up at the stars and whispered to her father, "I made it, Dad." The wind carried her words out to sea. If this story touched your heart, if you believe there's still good left in this world, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to Royal Stories to help spread messages of hope, kindness, and courage.